to Geography Classes by Priyesu. So today's topic is South Atlantic anomaly. So this is made up of two words. One is South Atlantic, and second word is anomaly. South Atlantic means the area of Southern Atlantic Ocean between the South America and the southwest part of Africa. You can see on the sketch here. Anomaly is a word of related to the abnormal magnetic field here. So abnormality in the Earth magnetic field is recorded in two types, guys. Either it we call as positive magnetic anomaly or we call negative magnetic anomaly. So how the anomaly is been magnetic anomaly has been measured. So there is a simple calculation is done from the actual measured magnetic strength of a place and the expected, so that difference give you the amount of magnetic anomaly. If there is no difference, if zero, that could, there is no magnetic anomaly. When the actual value is what called more than the expected, then the magnetic anomaly become positive. When the actual value is less than the expected, then the magnetic anomaly become negative. In the case of South Atlantic anomaly, so the what type of anomaly it is there positive or negative? It is the negative magnetic anomaly. It means that here the magnetic field or magnetic strength recorded is the lesser than the expected one. So and this lesser is has its own adverse consequences on the objects moving nearby. All electric, electronic, or even satellite, space probe, all has its own abnormal behavior here, and that abnormality leading to the damages here. You can see the consequences here. Now, so what is Earth magnetic field is due to? So we know the outer liquid core is containing a material called ferromagnetic material, which is nickel and the iron, which is in the form of the liquid form. Okay, and this material is rotating or spinning with the Earth rotation. When you, because of this, it will have some dynamic character. Okay, even the thermal convection, convention in the outer liquid core is responsible for the spinning of nickel and iron. And because of all this, this nickel and iron will attain a dynamo type behavior. So what dynamo do? Dynamo will convert mechanical energy, okay, into what called electrical energy, and this fluctuating electric current will produced by Faraday's law what called magnetic field. That's what we call Earth behave like a bar magnet. So every magnet has two poles, one called North Pole and second called the South Pole, and the imaginary line joining both the magnetic poles called as magnetic axis. We know the like poles what called repel and unlike poles attract. So magnetic compass N is in this direction, and the northern hemisphere magnetic pole is located somewhere here in the North Canada, and the southern hemisphere magnetic pole is here. So actually the Earth is the north magnetic pole or the south magnetic pole of the Earth. Actually here in the northern hemisphere is the south magnetic pole is located. In the southern hemisphere is the north magnetic pole is located. That's why the magnetic lines originates from what called north and goes to what called south. We can see in the arrows also. So magnetic lines originate from the north pole and goes to the south. Now in this diagram you observe, is it geographic axis and the magnetic axis are overlapping? Answer is no. So there is a deviation in the angle, and this angular deviation is around 11 degree, and this is called as angle of magnetic declination. Okay, now is it this magnetic declination always remain same? Answer is no. If the Earth, this iron nickel motion become more less, and so accordingly the magnetic axis also get reoriented, and this kind of shifting of magnetic poles or magnetic axis, this concept is called polar wandering. If the north pole becomes south pole or south pole become north pole in the magnetic sense, this concept is called polar reversibility. Now can be, it's a periodic process regular or random or just any type it could be there. It is a, we cannot say, sometimes it's a periodically happening, sometimes it may be episodic also. From last 7,80,000 years, polar reversibility on the earth has not taken place, but in the recent time there is a record of what called sudden shifting of this called magnetic axis towards the clockwise direction. It is rotating. Okay, now that means your in northern hemisphere magnetic pole is shifting from Canada towards the Japan side or Russia side, while in the southern hemisphere magnetic pole is shifting from the Canada, this called the southern ocean towards the west side. Okay, this side is moving here and this side is moving this side. Is it clear? Now, what is the consequences of earth magnetic field? One consequence is, which is important, that earth magnetic field provided a develop a protective shield, and that protective shield is called Van Allen radiation belt. Okay, this radiation belt is caused due to the interaction between earth magnetic field with the charged particles, okay, charged particles of the ionosphere, especially electrons and protons, isn't it? When we put the charged particles in the earth magnetic field, then it start oscillating. Okay, so as a result, oscillating particle emits radiation, and that radiation here is called as Van Allen radiation belt. There are two belts actually, inner radiation belt and the outer radiation. So inner radiation belt consists of both electrons and proton under the rotation, but the outer radiation belt contains only the electrons under motion, and these are actually preventing the entry of harmful electromagnetic radiation to be reaching onto the earth. What are the harmful electromagnetic radiation, aspirants? These are cosmic rays, X rays, and the gamma rays. So these are unable to reach to the earth surface. So that's what these are acting as a filter or the deviation of this harmful radiation reaching to the earth, and we get saved. Okay, now nowadays in the year 2012-13, one space probe called Van Allen space probe launched by the NASA. Okay, and even then later on the Explorer 1 and other also, that space probe discovered the one more ring. Okay, and this one more ring is more outermost actually than the previous inner and out, and this is called as relativistic. Okay, relativistic ring. So here the electrons are moving at the relativistic speed. So what is relativistic speed? Means the speed equivalent to the speed of what called the light, around 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meters per second is the speed. So because of that, you can see here inner ring, then is what called the outer ring, and the last most is called what? Relativistic ring. So even the function is same. Boom. It prevent the earth from harmful electromagnetic what called radiation. We get prevented from it. As a result, life, water, everything is possible on the earth. Atmosphere, everything is possible. Imagine if earth does not have Van Allen radiation belt, then what is going to happen? That means all the radiation will reach here and destroy the earth. First, it will evaporate water, atmosphere, and life. Nothing has been possible. It become lifeless, waterless, even the atmosphereless, the planet actually. So we should thank the right amount of earth magnetic field is keeping the Van radiation belt, and Van radiation belt is keeping the all the systems alive. Now, why we are talking about this magnetic anomaly in the southern Atlantic Ocean? We already have talked about the definition of South Atlantic Ocean. So what is the news about this? News is very simple, that there is a one ESA, European Space Agency, so which has launched a own satellite called as SWAM. Okay, this SWAM satellite data observed that the Earth magnetic field altogether is what? Reducing. Okay, So how much it has been reduced? So as the data from last 200 years, so 9% of the Earth magnetic field has been what called been reduced, and this data is been compilation or study of last 200 years. Now, on the maximum reduction is been reported from this South Atlantic region only, and this anomaly, which is positive or negative, come on, this anomaly is already negative, means the less. So already this less is getting further low, so we can say that what is happening to South Atlantic anomaly, it is also what growing. So South Atlantic anomaly is growing, means the negative magnetic anomaly of the South Atlantic Ocean is what called increasing. And what does actually mean on the ground? It simply means that the Van Allen radiation belt over the South Atlantic Ocean is very close to the Earth. It is generally the inner, this called inner ring, is around 1200 to 1300 kilometers from the ground. When it is moving over the South Atlantic Ocean, it will come closer and closer up to what called 200 to what called 300 kilometer. It at the height, and at this height, there is a problem. Okay, where there is a problem because International Space Station is there. Some low Earth this called satellites are moving. Even some polar low satellites are also there. Hubble telescope is also there. When all these electronic equipments are moving over this, they encountered with the lower what called magnetic field, and lower magnetic field means Van Allen radiation belt is what called the weakest here, and it allow the harmful X-rays, gamma rays, and this called cosmic rays to reach up to this height, and that is sufficient to destroy or damage such kind of equipment. Most of this electronic or equipments or the satellites burn out or the Hubble telescope or ISS damage occurred where when they passes over South Atlantic region. Okay, and this is called South Atlantic anomaly. Now, what with the time, what is actually is happening? This South Atlantic anomaly is increasing and increasing, leading to what called total global Earth magnetic field is also been what called been reduced. So, and this is a proof for what called the Earth magnetic field is sharply nowadays is drifting. In which direction the drift is there in the southern atmosphere or southern hemisphere? It is moving from east to west. In southern hemisphere, magnetic poles are shifting westward. In northern hemisphere, magnetic poles are shifting eastward. It is a proof for that. Now, so you can see this thing like most of the navigations or most of the satellite based or other kind electronic equipment that use atmospheric this called magnetic lines. Okay, they use the space properly. Okay, when this space is interacting with the Earth magnetic field that is forming the magnetosphere and the incoming radiation from the sun. If okay, and that radiation we call as by different names, call as CME, that is very high, called cosmic mass ejection or solar flares and solar waves, etc. When it is very intense, okay, when it is very intense, it can reach to the Earth more and damage more and more. Okay, now question arise. So, what is the studies of the recent times, which is conducted from 1970 to 2020 by the SWAM satellite of European Space Agency? It said that magnetic field has what increased or decreased with respect to time. Answer is one. Magnetic field has been decreased. Okay, and where did the maximum decrease been recorded? That is recorded in the South Atlantic anomaly region. So that means we call anomaly is what growing, and what is the impact of that growing? So the it is growing in which direction? Eastward or westward? It is growing at the westward. Like so, this system is moving like westward like this. Okay, so by 20 kilometer, what called per year it has been what called shifting westward. Okay, and its impact would be what? This magnetic shield, which is called as Van Allen radiation belt, which is keeping the harmful radiation away from us, is able to reach to the this height. And when at this height, what is happening? ISS is also sometimes flying, even polar satellites are also moving through it, and it destroy them. Our entire telecommunication, computers, all are operating on that. It may get damaged. Okay, it may be one more effect. So the radiation will be increased. So the temperature of this region will increase, and finally the global temperature, global warming, it may also can increase. Now, what is the other impacts on the migratory birds? Okay, migratory birds may also get disturbed. Okay, and they may get lose their track, or they may dies also. It could also affect the mapping and the navigation system of the smartphones, because everyone is nowadays is communicated through the computers, smartphones, isn't it or not? And they are using GPS and other kind of tools. And how does they operate? They also work on the principle of Earth magnetic field, isn't? And this magnetic field is weakening and changing. Weakening of this Earth magnetic field could also impact the migratory movements, especially the birds, animal, and all those who migrate with the changes in what called seasons depend on Earth mapping to move about. Okay, and which can find a little difficult the track. So as a result, they can enter into dangerous zones and they may die out, isn't it? Now, guys, this is just prepare a prelims and mains question on it, on the magnetic anomaly, or the properties and consequences of Earth magnetic field when Allen radiation belt, and the South Atlantic anomaly, and the present study done by the European Space